Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for August 9th, 2020. So, my reading this week was not as much as I wanted to be. I finished a couple of small things, but I didn't really make a whole lot of progress other than that. It was really busy. I was getting ready for my vacation. I vacation this whole week. So last week was mostly getting everybody kind of trained up to tell them and get people able to do my job for a week while I'm gone. And again, not one person takes over my job. Several people have to take over parts of it because no one can just do my job as well. So, I mean, that makes sense. So, I spent a lot of time at work training people and getting things set up so that it's not that hard for them while I'm gone. Like, there's things like, you know, just that I knew were in progress that weren't done. So, you know, that was a lot of lists on Friday and stuff. It was a long week, especially by the end. The last couple days were pretty long. So anyway, I didn't read nearly as much as I was hoping, nor did my reading go in the direction I thought it would. But then I am kind of a mood reader. I mean, I am a mood reader. And I try to, like as I said, I try to schedule my reading, but it just doesn't work. So I kind of, as I said, I have my options, and a lot of times my option that I'll think, like today, I will say what I think I'm going to read this week. I will change my mind a couple hours later. Anyway, so let's talk about the books that I've finished, the ones that I started, or the ones I'm in the middle of, and then what I think I'm going to read later this week. Because again, with vacation and only going to be gone for a couple days, I should get a lot of reading done, but I'm not going to assume that I do, because the way my reading is going, it could be anything. So the first thing I finished was the novella by Mila Vane that was in this bind-up of Night Shift that came out in 2014, and that is The Beast of Blackmoor. It is a dark barbarian fantasy romance, and it was a lot more fun than I remembered. I really know I enjoyed it back when I read it when this first came out in 2014, but it's been that long since I read it, so it's probably been, you know, 6 years. So it was really neat to come back to it and get all those details. It wasn't exactly how I remembered it, but you know, as I said, that was fun just getting back into it. So we're following a woman who is on a quest from a god that says that she has to tame the Beast of Blackmoor. And once she gets there, you know, there's all these great fantasy elements, like there's creatures and destruction and people who are trying to get away from the bad people who are in charge. And then, you know, and she actually comes, and a man that she meets, who, again, she thinks she's going to go kill a beast, but turns out that he is the Beast of Blackmoor, that people call him that, and so she's supposed to tame him. So, and he knows she's coming, and he knows she's supposed to be his doom of some sort. So it's kind of their back and forth, and then also all these political things and things going on in the world. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun, I mean, not a fun read. I'm not going to say that. I just meant it was good. I really enjoyed the novella, and I'm glad I reread it, because I'm going to now continue with the trilogy that is coming out. 2 of the books are out already, of A Gathering of Dragons, which is connected in this world. Anyway, so I read that to get prepared for that. And again, I also read that for the Summer Fling Readathon that's going on by Sarah at Steepton Books. So that is my second novella, because I read the Nalini Singh one last week. So I read 2 of the 3 of this, 2 of the 4 of the novellas in here. I'm not going to read that one's an urban fantasy, so I'm not going to read that. And the Alona Andrews is also that, but again, this is actually one of the books I've never completed, because I'm not far enough in the Kate Daniels series to read this book, so I still need to catch up on that series. That might be next year's project. That series is one of those ones that are left where I've read one book and never read the rest of the series. So anyway, I have one of the novellas. Anyway, so I haven't finished that. So then I kind of was like, what do I feel like reading next? Well, I decided to go with The Passions of Medora Graham by Elsie Lee. So this was published in 1972. Awesome cover. Anyway, so I got this from my mom. She let me borrow it last year, and I kind of lost it on my bookshelf because just things happened, and I kept saying, oh, I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that. And I just kept putting it off. And then I moved my TBR where I kept books for that month TBR from in here, in my library office, into the living room, so it's closer to my couch, so I see it every day and like go, well, those are the books I need to read that I want to read. And I kind of lost it, so I was left to here in the office, and I found it when I was cleaning for our refinancing appraisal. Anyway, so I told my mom I found it and that I was going to read it, and since I'm going to see her, see my parents this week, I thought I'd better get it done. So I got it done early in the week. This was nothing of what I thought it was going to be. Because it says on the back, comparable to Mary Stuart at her best, I thought this was going to be a romantic suspense. I really did. And it's set up like a Mary Stuart in the way that the main character, she's kind of fleeing from her normal life. She runs a business in London with a man that she's had a relationship with, and he's decided to move on, and he's going to marry somebody else. So she's kind of decided to go off, and because they're in the fashion industry, that's what their business is. She's going to go tour the world to get more ideas for stuff, and mostly she's just trying to escape. So she's not around there for the wedding and not around for what happens afterwards. So she takes off, and because of certain things, she ends up on an island in Greece by accident when the yacht that she's on a tour with has engine trouble, and there she meets Siamin. So he is there, and he is just visiting his parents, but he's there because he took a sabbatical from his job in London, where he is a doctor, a surgeon. So he has his own backstory. She has his, they have these, pasts, and then they first become friends, and then she helps out on the island for something that's going on there, and so then I thought this was going to be suspenseful, and then no, it was like a suspenseful for a middle part of the book for about 20 pages. And that was kind of about it. This is really a contemporary romance. Let's just put it out there. So I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, the exotic locales is really what I think the Mary Stuart, what they're talking about, like Mary Stuart. The location and the people who live on the island, it was just, that was very Mary Stuart. Like, that to me was very reminiscent of her. But the story plot, the characters, and the actual, like, the plot of the novel, no. This is a contemporary romance. Mary Stuart always has some really good mysteries involved and a lot of twists like that. And this did not have a whole bunch of that. It was, again, so there was like one little part where I thought it was going to go that way, and it just didn't. And then it just became a romance story, which is fine. I just didn't expect it. So overall, I really like this. I would definitely read more by her. I think her writing style is very interesting because she does do both perspectives, the male and the female, in different chapters, offsetting. So I really like that. It is a way I like some romance novels to go. So I really enjoyed that. But there was a really dark moment in the middle of the book that I was super surprised about. Came out of nowhere. And again, I think that's where the main title comes from, and also the back where it says that they're both dark and driven souls. Like, there's like there was a moment I was not sure how I was going to deal with this book, if I was going to continue on. But I kept reading, and then it resolved itself, like, in a way I understand why it did. It still surprised me the way it went, but it was still interesting. Like, I was surprised at the way the choices the authors made and the characters made, that it made sense to them that they did that, but it surprised me. Anyway, but overall, it was a romance story, and I really enjoyed it. Considering, again, I don't read contemporary romance very often, if at all, right now. I'm very not into contemporary anything really. But this was, again, contemporary 1972, so I guess that's why I got away with it. So anyway, but again, I think it was really interesting. And again, I think if you want to read romance from that era, I think she wrote really well. I would recommend her. So I did read something else that I'll explain in a minute, but I haven't finished yet. But Friday, I was so tired that I just picked up a reread. So I picked up, of course, A Nillingy Sing, and I picked up another of the Side Changeling novellas. I read, first I read Stroke of Enticement, which takes place after book number 3 in the Side Changeling series, Caressed by Ice. So I read that, and so that was one of my favorite novellas for her, like of all of them. This is one of my favorites. And then I started reading and then finished on Saturday. I finished Declaration of Courtship, which comes after Play of Passion, which I think is book number 9. I don't know. It's 8 or 9. I think it's 9. I know. No. Yes, 9. So, okay. Yay, I remembered. Anyway, and that one also is one of my favorites. So, I mean, the other 2 in here are fine. It's just, I only read the 2 middle ones. They're my favorite of this collection. I've reread them a couple of times since I got this. I don't remember when this book came out, but as I said, they're from several years ago, and they were published in other places. This came out in 2013, so clearly I read them the first time then for me, but anyway, but I read. Anyway, so again, Nothing You Sing, Side Changing series, of course, I read a couple more. So that shows that for the summer fling, I've read 4 novellas, reread 4 novellas, and I've read 1 book. So I'm doing okay on that readathon. And then, yesterday I picked up a book at the library, The Factory by okay, I had it in my head just a second ago. Hiroko Oyamada, sorry. And this is written by Japanese and translated by David Boyd. So this is a really short 116-page novel. I got it from the library yesterday, and it was kind of funny because the librarian, when she brought it out, she took a picture of it so that she would look for it later because she thought it sounded interesting. Because this is weird. Okay, so as I said, I don't read a lot of contemporary books. Mostly the only contemporary books I read are Japanese contemporary. I don't know what it is about that, but Japanese lit, the contemporary stuff. For some reason, I want to read it. I don't always understand it or don't always like it, but I read a lot more of it than any other contemporary books that I own or that I can get. So it's no surprise that I picked up a Japanese book for women in translation. That is going on all through August. I know that there's a Readathon at the end of the month from the 24th to the 31st. And so I'll probably read the other 2 books that I have on my TBR for women in translation. But I picked up this book from the library. I had been wanting to read this since I heard about it because I heard it was weird and it was short, and I thought, oh, I'll just pick it up. And yeah, okay. This was weird. This was like one of the weirdest books I've picked up in a long time. It follows 3 people who get jobs at the factory. Now, the factory is this huge complex that's as big as like a medium-sized town, like a good-sized town. Like it, you know, there's thousands of people who have jobs there and work there, and it's a huge area with a lot of different buildings, and there's all these weird jobs there. So these 3 people one gets a contract job, one gets a permanent job, and one gets a temp job. And they're all very weird, like really weird jobs. Very focused on one thing, and then they're getting paid for it. So it's very bizarre. What I liked about this is that I thought the writing was really good. It was written in first person for each perspective, though. So be aware going in that the chapters alternate, so that I read the first chapter and it's a female character. The second chapter is male, but it took me like 2 pages to go, wait, he just called him like he, you know, that didn't make sense. And I had to go back and go, oh, this is another character. I was wondering why I was confused. It also doesn't follow, like time, linearly, like it doesn't go like in timeline. It jumps back and forth. And so you have to be very careful when you go to a chapter, or not a chapter, to a paragraph. If you end on one paragraph and then the next paragraph might jump you back in time or jump you forward in time, you have to be careful. So it's a very sparse novel in that way. I think this one really fails in as much as I liked a lot of the way the descriptions were from the characters' point of views and learning about them, and the weird factory. The factory was just weird. This whole concept of this whole area and this place where people work. but it was just too sparse in the way of details I wanted, or more stuff happening. By the end, this is a bizarre novel. Like, I would say 3/4 of it was pretty, okay, well, this is weird, but not, I mean, not weird, but like, it was just like, okay, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, oh, you're going around their lives and how that interacts with their work, and how their jobs are just weird and how they can handle that. And then it just twists. The end is weird. I saw part of it coming because of hints and stuff, but it was still more like, why? I don't understand the why. And I think it is really like a metaphor for something that I'm maybe not fully getting, or what I assume. Okay, well, I think it's some way, but it could be just a cultural thing that maybe I didn't get the whole thing, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, not getting everything. I just thought it was weird. I didn't dislike this, but I didn't love it. But I would read more by this author. I think this is a debut, from what I understand, or at least for us, I can't remember. I seem to think I saw it on here. It was a debut. It was a weird. Yeah, I think, yeah. So this was her first novel. And then her next one, I'll have to look for it. It's called The Hole. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. Anyway, I'm really interested to read more and see what happens, like what her writing does next. Again, I didn't love this, but it's definitely a book I think is weird. And if you want something short for women in translation, I would recommend this one. Again, not saying it's perfect or it's wonderful, and just, it was weird. It was just weird. So those are all the books I finished. So the books I'm in the middle of, I did start Washington Black by Isaiah Dujan. This is the book I was supposed to read this week for ReadEHthon, which is for Canadian books. That was from the 3rd to the 9th. So today I got 60 pages in. This is a historical fiction about a young slave boy from Barbados who is on the plantation, but he starts working for the master's, or the owner's brother, who is kind of a scientist, and so he's kind of involved with him and doing stuff. And the scientist wants to fly around the world in what he's calling a cloud cutter, and like a balloon. So I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. I didn't get quite that far. They're definitely just doing the beginning part of it, and they're starting their relationship of that. This was, in some ways, this is, really written really well. It's also very easy to read, as in the chapters are fairly short. They're not super long, and it moves along pretty well. My problem was just I was so busy at work that I was reading this in the middle of the week, and I was too tired to deal with. I wanted to catch every detail. I think that is the major thing I want to say about this. So I think the reason why I reverted to rereading again a lot of times is because my mind just can't catch all the details, and I was afraid to miss things that happened in these early chapters that might have real significance later. And I already caught a few things, but I meant, like I said, I'm kind of afraid that I'll miss stuff. So I put it down. I'm probably not going to finish this today because I'm probably not going to pick it up today. So I'm not taking this off my TBR. I'm not DNFing this in any way. I'm just holding this off. I think it's still on my currently reading. I think I will still try to get it to by the end of the month. The end of the month, there is the History Channel, the History Challenge, which is put on by Emma at A Cup of Books. And I might use this as the fiction, the historical fiction entry for that, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not putting this aside. I just meant right this minute, this is not calling to me, and I don't want to force it. It's definitely, I was enjoying enough of it to go. I would really enjoy this if I could just sit down and give it some time. And maybe this week I will have that with my vacation, and I want to read this at some point, but it just didn't happen, last week when I was busy with work. So as I said, I'm going to come back to that. It's just, I didn't do that readathon. That readathon I failed. My audiobook, I did start last week and I forgot to mention it, but I'd only read like 15 pages, but I'm actually listening to this on audio, as I said, and that is Shattered Sword, The Untold Story of the Battle of Midway by Jonathan Parshall and Anthony Tully. So this is narrated by Tom Perkins, and I'm listening to this on audio. I'm over halfway now. It's like 24 hours and I have like 9.5 left. So I'm over halfway in the book. There's a lot of notes and stuff. I got the book from the library like I always do if I can. But I'm really glad I did on this one because there are a lot of pictures and diagrams of a lot of the stuff going on in this. And so it's really been a helpful tool that way. So this is really great to have the physical for this one. The audio is really good. The thing is that I don't think this is exactly what I wanted, but I'm still going to finish this. So the Battle of Midway, again, was during World War II. I don't know a whole lot about this except that it was, is considered an American, victory, but I wanted to see how that all came about. I want to double check, so don't quote me on this or anything, but my grandfather was a Navy pilot and I believe he was at Midway, but I don't know like enough details. It's one of those things where, I was really young when he passed away, so I don't know a lot. And I feel like I've heard stories, but not like some of the action he was in. So I don't know a lot. So I want to check with my mom and my uncle and just see like what exactly where he was and stuff. But I wanted to read something on Midway after I heard that he could possibly have been there, and I'm not sure. But anyway, I got in the audiobook on an Audible sale. So I got the book from the library. It took forever because of the whole shutdown. So I finally got it. And what's really weird is this is not the book from like what I really wanted, because this is hugely from the Japanese perspective on their carrier actions during that. I mean, it is important because to see what happened from that side, and I think that part is really good. I mean, again, normally for history, this would be great. It's just, I was more looking for, I guess, more from the American side, a little bit more to learn more about stuff if I find out, more about where my grandfather was or not. So I don't know, but well, I'll get another book on that. But this has been really fascinating because it is from the Japanese. Like, a lot of information has come through that we finally have access to, that they've put into this book about the actions on the Japanese side of this. And it's very, very interesting. And as I said, I'm getting a lot out of it that way. It's just, I wish it was a little bit more balanced between the American side. During this, it would, to me, have been more of a balanced book. But I think the reason they did that is because this information, there's so much information that they now have, that we have access to, that they were able to write it, that does show most of that stuff. But there's so much written from the American side already in other books that they mentioned, like 4 or 5 other books I could pick up that were more from that side. So, I probably will pick up something else too. But this is good so far, and I just said I'm 9.5 hours from finishing it, so I'm hoping to get that done, as I said, pretty soon. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Then really quick, we're going to talk about books I might read this week. So I have no idea, because I have, again, staycation. I'm going to have just a couple days gone with my parents, but other than that, I'm going to have all this time to read. So one of the books I really want to pick up is A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Milla Vane. This is the first book in the Gathering of Dragons series that follows The Beast of Blackmoor. So this is book 1. I have book 2 already on my shelf, and the 3rd one comes out next year. So I really want to start this trilogy, and it is 540 pages. So this will count for the summer fling, as well as Tome Topple, which is going on now, from August 8th to the 21st. So yes, another readathon. But I have a couple of big books I'd like to get done, and this is the first one. So I'm hoping to get to this this week, maybe even starting this later today. We'll see how I feel. But I do want to read this. This is, again, dark barbarian fantasy romance, and I don't know really anything about it. Again, I don't remember how this all connects with the other book, or if it does or not. I'm not sure how it all connects. We'll see. Or if it's just it'll connect later to that story. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm hoping to get to that. And then this is just kind of a whim book that I might pick up this week because it's vacation, and it's a middle grade book. The Cats of Tanglewood Forest by Charles DeLint and illustrated by Charles Vest. and vests, sorry. And so I saw this on Instagram, just looked really cute. And it had, again, I've read Charles DeLint in the past, like way many years ago. But again, it's a story about cats. I wanted to read it. Anyway, well, I'm going to try it. This is one of those library books I'm just going to try if I like it or not. I'm not usually a middle grade reader like you know, but the point is it was cute. It has cats. And I think it has to do with an orphan who goes into the woods to gather something, and something happens, and I think the cats turn her into a kitten. I'm not sure. That's what it said. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm hoping to kind of sneak that in, because again, it's middle grade, so it's a fast read. So if I just need something that I don't want to focus too hard on, that could be my pick. And then again, I have so many other books from like Women in Translation that I still want to read. A lot of, again, my next Tome Topple book. And, you know, there's other books, and I might intersect some more romance for Summer Fling. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So again, I will be on vacation. I'm probably only going to have one more video up this week. It'll be my stats video from July. So I'll get all those caught up. And then I think that's kind of it. So anyway, what are you guys reading? Anything good? How's your reading going for August so far? Have you guys read any of these? Did you like them? Let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.